So good afternoon to those joining, and thank you for joining this afternoon. I'm Jag Sohal, and this is the Real IT Bites Early Career Professional series. This is the 7th talk in a series of 8, and this one is called Let's Play Mythbusters. So I'm Jag Sohal, and I'll be your host. And hopefully you can all see that slide. So that's a quick introduction to myself. I'm Jag Sohal, and I'm an IT Business Relationship Manager. And I love my job as IT BRM, and one of my first talks is on BRM, so tune into that one if you want to know more about that role. And I work at NFU Mutual. I've been in the industry for 14, 15 years, and the concept to give back in terms of early careers started in 2020. So the webinar series consists of career stories, real people with real stories of their careers, and lessons learnt, and how we can encourage more people into the industry. And every single one of my guests are available to contact as well, and to carry on any conversations or questions that you might have. So they're aimed at anyone seeking a much broader understanding of the varied roles within IT and digital, and how they're linked into business change as well, and also the essential soft skills that we need in our industry as well. So my purpose is to increase as much diverse talent into the industry. And I have 2 guest speakers joining me today. So we wanted to touch on myth busting. So I will get Colin to do a quick introduction first.
No problem, Jag. Thank you. Yeah, and hi everyone. So yeah, as Jag said, I'm Colin Marks, and I work at NFU Mutual as well, having joined the company 3 years ago, having just left university actually with a degree in history. And I joined NFU Mutual on their graduate professional trainee scheme within IT, focusing more broadly in IT and business management. Having been with the company for a year or so, I found myself in the business relationship management team, and was there for about 18 months to 2 years, and have recently moved into a different role actually outside of IT, into the strategy and marketing department.
Fabulous, thank you, Colin. And Emma?
Hi everybody, Emma Feltham. I'm Head of IT Delivery at National Trust. So my background actually way back when is in chemistry. I've got a degree and a PhD in chemistry, and I thought I was going to follow a research career, but then realised that there were lots of other things that I enjoyed about what I was doing. And I moved into one of the government funding agencies, helping universities find funding opportunities for the research and the training that they were doing. And then I joined National Trust nearly 10 years ago now. I've had lots of different roles, senior IT roles in my time at National Trust, and started off setting up our business relationship management function. That's how I know Jag, because we were both in the BRM space, and I was very much focused on what was going on with IT out at our properties. Then I moved into looking after our service management space and wider customer service, so the service that IT provides into the whole organisation. Then moved into looking more at strategic planning, and now for the last 2 years I've been in the head of IT delivery role. That's all about live services and new projects and programs to deliver services to the wider organisation, really kind of end to end, so right from the start of a concept to something right through to it being something we're using every single day. And I do that for very much our kind of customer facing and revenue generating areas, so things like our membership system are in my space. So really varied and broad role that I absolutely love, and I love the National Trust, so really happy to answer any questions any of you've got and tell you more about my experience of working in IT and the kinds of careers I've seen people have.
And I think that's the point of today's talk really, is we've already just now speaking to both of you, just the introductions, you know, not IT degrees, you know, so not that binary connection that to work in IT, you must have an IT degree or you know, a strong IT background. And, you know, I'd say, you know, Emma, you know, and Colin, it didn't hold you back, did it, when it came to doing the role?
Definitely not. I think roles are about so much more than that, just that technical background, you know. So for me, I think that so much of my career has been about kind of relationships with people and about understanding the wider organisation and understanding what technology can do to make things happen in an organisation. So yeah, so really, really broad. And I delve into what I need to from a technical point of view, but also I work with people who are real experts. And what I do then is I ask them the questions. You know, they know the detail that I'm never going to be able to, and it's just about having the conversation to understand things, and then getting those right people talking to each other. So much of what I do is about connecting people to each other.
Yeah. And Colin, did you find that in your early start to IT, the similar experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It really does revolve around people. I couldn't agree with you more from that perspective, Emma. I think kind of coming in as kind of that on that graduate scheme, and you get a good holistic overview of IT, but also then finding myself in the business relationship management team, you also get a good high level overview of the business too, because you're meeting a real diverse group of people across the organisation and within the different divisions as well. But that's how I experienced anyway within NFU Mutual, and it sounded it's replicated across other companies too.
And I suppose before you joined, what myths or assumptions did you carry that you can dispel for the people on this tour?
Yeah, plenty actually. I think so before joining, I suppose I was the first thing that struck me from when I was searching for jobs at university was kind of the opportunity with NFU Mutual to go into IT came up, and it specified that it didn't require an IT background, and that really pricked my ears, I suppose, to use another term, because it really, I was really interested to understand more around, okay, actually, what does IT mean then? I did a bit of research myself before applying, and all of a sudden it kind of the world opened up to me when it comes to IT, because it hadn't something I'd realised before. And then when I actually when I joined, I was quite nervous because I didn't have a technical background. I came from a BA degree as well, so it kind of didn't even touch upon the science side. But actually, I soon realised that, like Emma just said, there are experts within IT who are very technical and are very knowledgeable. And it's an opportunity for you to grow your knowledge, not just of the business, but of IT as well. And sometimes coming in with a fresh set of eyes that without that prior experience in IT and potentially the biases that come with that too, it really, I felt it kind of played as a strength to mine, as odd as that may sound, to come in without prior understanding or prior knowledge. Actually being able to ask those really basic questions and delve into is really helped me develop myself within the role, and I think help the teams that I was involved with too.
I think it's really important that, Colin, that curiosity, that willingness to learn and ask questions, I think is fundamental in so many different jobs. And I think if you're the sort of person who asks questions and genuinely wants to understand, you can do all sorts of things. And then as you learn more, you open up more and more opportunities for you in terms of what you could do, because you might find something you find really exciting when you start to ask questions about it. So that I just think that the possibilities are just so broad in these kinds of roles.
Yeah, definitely. I felt as well, kind of stepping into the IT world without that prior knowledge, it forces you to be curious. So you have to be. You're there. You want to learn, and it really makes you ask those questions, which, like you say, it really helps you personally develop in your own career. But like I said, helps wider organisations, teams too.
And Emma, do you feel that there are myths that people have come to you with, or that you've observed that you think need to be dispelled?
Yeah, definitely, Jag. So one of the first things I came across is that IT is a boys' subject. I've been told that about a few things that I've done over my career generally, but having worked in the sciences as well, and it's not. We've got such a variety of people, and it's not just about gender, it's about just having a diverse workforce generally. What I've realized is that we have got a diverse workforce, and I come across all different kinds of people working in IT careers. They're all really different, and that's a real strength, and it links to some of what Colin was saying. Actually, if you bring a different perspective, that's so positive in these sorts of environments, because if everybody thinks the same, you're going to come up with the same answers and the same approaches to everything. The benefit is when you have different perspectives, different ideas, I think that's when you get real strength in teams. So I think that's the first thing, is that people kind of thinking you have to be a certain kind of a person to work in IT. I think the other thing was that I know when I was younger, before I started to work with people who were doing things in the technology space, my assumption was it was all about sitting and writing code and being in front of a screen all day. writing code, or kind of being in the background with infrastructure where you're moving cables around and things like that. Absolutely, those are things that are part of jobs in IT, and we need all of that. But there are so many different things that people do, and the number of people I come across who they do spend so much of their time out and about across the organisation they work for, seeing firsthand what the needs are, what the requirements are, and then really understanding where the challenges are from a technology or IT point of view. So I think, people will often kind of think that it's a certain kind of a job or a certain kind of a person, and it's really not. It's just so broad. There's so many different things that go on from an IT point of view. You have people who are doing that coding and doing that infrastructure, but you also have people who are there really engaging with the organisation around what the strategy is and what technology can do to enable that strategy and what that might mean for opportunities. So in IT, you can be influencing an organisation's business plans, because actually you can be suggesting completely new things that could open up a whole new audience or a whole new market for a business that you work with. All sorts of different things that go on. And you've talked about the fact that you don't have to have a degree, that's from an IT background. And again, I think a lot of people assume that, but we've all proven the fact that that's not the case. And actually, of the people I work with, there aren't that many who do have a degree in IT. People might have specialist skills, qualifications they've got, but often that's been done later on, actually, as they've started to develop in a particular career path. So I think you can always be changing and doing something different.
Please feel free, those who are attending, pop any questions, anything you want advice wise in the chat box, or raise your hand so you can ask your question as well. We can make this as interactive as you like, so don't feel like there's anything if you've got a myth that you feel about IT, then we're the best sort of bunch to talk it through with you. And I suppose my point is, if you think about the history of IT, let's say 40 years, way back when it was mainframes, how much has it changed, and how much has it changed just in the last 10 years? And so the people and the skills need to change as well. So it goes back to the point about bringing in more diverse talent, because we're talking about building apps to reach new markets and new customers, the younger generation. So we need a different sort of look and insight into how we build new capabilities as well. And also, you said about technology. Actually, technology itself is getting more simple in a lot of cases. It's more off the shelf. It's more sort of out the box. So what we really need are people, and therefore that can actually manage the collaboration aspect as well. So relationship managers, supplier relationship managers, people with maybe a finger on the cost as well. So keeping track of costs of change and things like that. So it's about stepping away from the technology aspect of it, but everything else that would make that a success.
Definitely, Jag. I think it's a really interesting point there as well, Jag, around the ability that if you do step into IT and you're not from an IT background, you don't have the opportunities you have to upskill yourself in a more technical role, if you want, are just endless for IT as well. There's so much, if you do want to go into your coding or your infrastructure, so much that knowledge and information is open sourced on the internet, that actually you have so much opportunity to go away and if that's what you want to do, because you step into that role and learn, and then be able to access this great library of information at your fingertips through because of the way technology is working, which I think is also really a really powerful aspect of stepping into into the IT career world. And
not just that the BCS has a range of specialist groups as well. So if you are interested in the more sort of business analysis side or AI, machine learning, if you do want to specialise in anything, there are groups available such as the BCS that you can then get that knowledge from, get the kind of mentoring from as well. So it's getting a right mix of experience, and likewise, I was aspiring to be a DBA, a database administrator, and I did that for a year, and put me in good stead for then becoming a systems analyst and then a business analyst. So it's all that learner mindset And that curiosity comes back to curiosity, can make you, navigate your journey across many roles in IT.
I think the other thing that links to that, you were talking about sort of the pace of change, Jag, and it's so true that technology is just now everywhere. We all use technology constantly in our lives, even more so as a result of the pandemic. We've moved into this world where online everything is just the reality of our lives, and people work in this hybrid way where, so many people now are working from home most of the time, maybe in the office some of the time. We're all relying on technology and used to it and expecting to use it, but that means also that pace of change, it just keeps going. And what I found is that the stuff I've done in my time in IT has been so varied. There's never a chance to get bored. It's really interesting. There's always new stuff coming up. There's always new things you can learn about, and I find that really exciting myself, because it means that I have a new challenge, something new I can learn about all of the time, and that's what keeps jobs interesting. Jobs are about, do you work with great people? Do you feel like you're making a difference in delivering something that's kind of important and of value? And you really do in technology, because now pretty much everything in every business relies on technology. So normally you're enabling whichever business you're in to be able to achieve its key goals. And then actually that ability to keep learning and growing and having opportunity, I think that's what makes careers exciting and interesting. And as I said, it certainly kept me very excited. Nearly 10 years now in senior IT roles in the trust, and it's not stood still for me at all during that time.
I really like that, Emma, because that's another assumption, is that IT is just us and the business is them. There's them and us.
Yeah.
we work in very different ways, and we're actually so interlinked, and the change, as you say, the pace of change is so constant. So you could be in any role in IT, and that goes for, we talked about service desk and help desk roles, and problem management roles that support the help desk, and you're all involved in some element of making things incrementally better. So there is really no like the IT show that you're just in a in your own little room somewhere siloed off. It really isn't the case. You're actually part and parcel of lots of conversations that are helping incrementally move that business forward.
And that's one of the big changes I think that's happened, over the last maybe 15 or so years, is that I think if you go back about 15 years ago, IT could have been like this little thing over here.
Yes. Its
own little box, and was very separate to the rest of an organisation. And like you, I hate that IT and the business thing. It's not, we're all part of the same. It really has shifted, and I've seen that happen over the last 10 years. We've got closer and closer in terms of what we're aiming towards and how we're working. And I think we've done a lot to demystify what IT is, and to be really kind of open, because ultimately none of us do technology for the sake of doing technology. We do it because it's enabling a business to do what it's trying to do. And that means you can only do that if you kind of open doors to the rest of the organisation and the people you work with.
Definitely. Sorry, Jack, I think you touched on it then as well. The last year or two with the pandemic has also just moved that to a whole different dimension, because the way that everyone has had to embrace digitization and the ability to remote work and the reliance upon technology has really just forced that relationship between IT and wider businesses to progress even further. Which is, again, it keeps developing and goes back to the point you were making, Jag, around actually the ability to move around both within IT and within the business. It's all one and the same now, essentially, and that relationship continues to develop.
And actually, I don't know about both of you, but I've certainly seen that one of the good things out of the pandemic is it has shifted how IT is seen. And I know organisationally, the fact that we just mobilised to do whatever we needed to do to support the organisation and to get things working and to change what was going on so that we could respond to the pandemic, that really shifted the perception of what IT is about, and the gratitude we've had from the whole organisation and the compliments we've had about the way we did that. It's just really all of our relationships, and it does feel like, as a result of all of that, we've stepped into yet another space where we're even closer than we were. So I've seen that as a really good thing out of what's been a really tough couple of years.
And your point about hybrid working is really interesting, because if we were all in the office environment, all our needs are kind of met in the office. but now we're sort of in our homes, and we've got, you know, physical kit in our homes as well. So, you know, there's an assumption that IT folk are, you know, sitting at their desks all day coding, for example, but there are roles that are field-based roles. So if you do, like me, I like to get out and about as well. So prior to going down the database administrator route, I wanted to be a Dell laptop technician, because I experienced what they did, and I thought, and I was sort of 21 at the time, and said, that job's great, because if they can't fix my laptop at the phone, you know, they get to physically come out and get a day and come and spend a day and fix things, you know. And I thought that was great, because that field-based, that geography-based mindset and travel mindset was something that was of interest to me. So, you know, there's other aspect where if you're feeling that the world is changing, then go and look for those jobs that are looking for you to be a bit more field, you know, customer facing in a real sense, and going out to data centers, going out to, you know, fix people kit, or, you know, then set them up with a replacement kit. Mobile device management as well can come into play. So, you know, there's very little barriers, I feel, where you can connect the roots back to doing an IT sort of job, really.
And that aspect that you spoke, kind of going out and fixing something, Jack, to pick up on that, is that ability to problem solve, and it's something that, and you could argue that you get that across whatever career you do, but it's so at the forefront of what you do in IT, especially in kind of the more relationship and the customer facing roles. Something I hugely enjoy was that ability to continually seek to problem solve, and it's not easy, you know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to be resilient, and you definitely build your resiliency by doing that. But again, it's a great personal trait to be able to develop, but also you do something different every day. I think you mentioned it, Emma, by actually embracing and embracing that ability to problem solve, and as those problems occur, no 2 days are the same, because of that underlying reason.
Yeah.
And I think there's that shift now that so many of us, as you say, are customer facing. You know, they're all partnerships, they're all allies, you know, whether you're talking about suppliers, agencies, or people in, you know, head office that you're talking to. But that customer facing element is quite key, whether you're doing it, you know, looking down the camera on your laptop, or, as I said, whether you've got a job that actually means you're meeting them in person. You're actually then that brand, you know, you're changing the face of IT, you're changing the brand of IT. And, you know, you bring your professional side, but then they get to interact with you, and, you know, you get to show your personality, get to show what you're about, you know. So not only are you, you know, an IT technician, for example, or an IT business analyst, but you're an advocate for sustainability, you know, and you know, bring that up in conversation, or you're an advocate for, you know, LGBTQ rights, and you want to raise awareness and things like that, and anything else that can just bring you to life, you know, because it's the human interactions that now really matter. And, you know, IT could easily be silent and just whir away and provide services and things like that, but we know that that's not going to get us forward in making IT good for society and the business as a whole. So and that's what people are looking for now, above anything technical. It's your people skills and your relationship skills.
Yeah, that's so true, Jag. I do a lot around diversity and inclusion generally. It's something I'm very passionate about. And what's great is that, you know, I have conversations with the people I work with in the organisation about things that I clock on that, and I get to do stuff to be a role model and to influence what's going on. But also I get support to do that more widely and to engage with other organisations outside of, you know, just kind of the day-to-day job. Because you're right, it is about being much more rounded and much more part of it. You build those relationships, you build that trust, and you actually get to influence things, not just about technology and IT. You're absolutely right. And I think it's really key that people feel that they can bring all of that to the workplace, because it comes back to my point earlier of that's what brings fresh ideas, that's what brings new thinking, is people bringing all of that experience and passion to what they're doing.
Yeah, gives you more purpose in your role. So I suppose my point there and your point, Emma, is, you know, don't hold back at that aspect of yourself, because if you then therefore vocal about being an advocate for STEM or being an advocate for sustainability, well, lo and behold, your organisation might have a working group on that. So not only are you early career into your role, you're getting to meet people in your team, you're getting to meet people wider outside of your role. And what organisation now isn't doing anything on the environmental and social, aspects to reflect, again, goes back to that reflection of what doing good for society is, that you get to, it's a fantastic add-on to your role. And Colin, you've taken that experience, as you said, 18 months, 2 years in IT, and you've now moved into another role. Is it marketing, isn't it? That you've...
Yes, yeah, that's correct, Jack. Yeah, so after 2 years moved across to the strategy and the marketing department here. But again, starting my career off and my early career off in IT just gave you that base of the skills that we've spoken about. Being inquisitive, resiliency, good communication, good people skills, essentially, it really does bode well kind of moving into other roles, because they're the skills that employers are looking for. And I felt that through IT, I was exposing myself to them on a daily basis, in essence. I suppose the other skill that IT that's really transferable is the ability that IT gives you to, I suppose, think wider, thinking systems, something I didn't appreciate, I suppose, coming in initially. But you always look at the bigger picture through IT, because actually when you're trying to solve a problem, one person's problem is probably associated within a much bigger chain of events, and actually being able to appreciate that and adapt your thinking, I suppose, to that, and mature your thinking of it. And I got a long way to go to keep developing that. But again, that's something that's really quite useful and really quite powerful when you do go into other roles, is being able to bring that different perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's another assumption, that we can debunk today is, you could start in IT and get all that good experience. And as I said in previous talks, then you've moved into marketing, which you've had an interest in, and you've taken that awareness with you, lessons learned with you, and now what a bolster to that team who've probably never had someone with an IT experience to join that function and to bring that knowledge as well. So it's a really valuable commodity.
So one of the things that I think is really useful to think about is this whole concept of kind of, people tended to think about very traditional career ladders going back, like I start here, this is the path I'm going to follow to end up in this kind of role here. It's just not the way it works. It's not been my experience. You go sideways, you take something that might look like a bit of a tangent from where you're at. And I think one of the things that I found is that I've thought quite hard about each individual step in terms of where I'm going next. But where I am now compared to where I started, I would never have figured that out if you'd asked me where I was going to end up, back at the start of my career. I have made conscious decisions for each step as they've come up, but that's been to do with lots of things like, what new stuff have I learned? What have I got excited about? What opportunities have I seen that I can grab? That's how my career has progressed. And that has, sometimes been very much a sideways move to learn something new, or because I've been fascinated about something, before then maybe going for another step up the chain. It's not just about following a very linear path, because you're so right in what both of you talked about you bring all of that with you wherever you go. You don't lose any of the things you've done before. You start to stitch all of that together, and it may be that you're on a path over here, you go sideways for a while, and you might then at some point consolidate all of that and kind of take a step that's up, that's pulling it all together to pull on all those different strands. So I'd always encourage people to not feel like once you've started on a particular route, that's the only route you can then carry on. It's not. And I think I know that when I'm looking for people, you very rarely, when you advertise a job, find somebody who ticks every single box you've listed. It just doesn't happen. What you'll get is somebody who ticks enough of the boxes, but then actually if that person's got the right kind of attitude, and you can see there's somebody who wants to learn and they're enthusiastic about what they're doing and they're going to bring passion, and often they'll bring something you didn't know they were going to bring that you might get excited about, because you've not put it in the job ad, but it's something that's actually useful in your business anyway. So I think never be afraid when you're looking at what your next steps are to just go, well, I don't hit everything. If you can hit a set of it and you can be clear about what you are bringing, don't lie, don't pretend you haven't got certain skills, be clear about what you are going to bring. And I've certainly had that experience myself with a couple of my moves over the years where I didn't know something in my background was going to be really interesting to an employer. I looked at the job that was advertised and thought, I've got enough of what they want. I didn't apply. The same job then got brought up again because I clearly hadn't filled it. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go then, because I clearly not found somebody. Lo and behold, they looked at my CV and went, oh, well, she's got all of this, but she's also got this stuff over here that we didn't, that's really good. You don't know that. And that's, I don't know about both of you, Colin and Jack, in terms of what you've seen, but I think people will often discount themselves from things in terms of next steps, which actually they could be really good for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it more with the BCS and early career work that I'm doing, you know, examples where people aren't making those links between the experience they have and how transferable, how valuable they are, you know, people coming from, so these are individuals who've probably worked in other industries, maybe 10 years plus, and are now looking for change, or perhaps furlough has prompted change. And they're from the charity sector. They've done, you know, incredible projects in charity, or their accountancy backgrounds that they've got, engineering, and it was just going to take, you know, I think one interaction or one conversation to say yes. If you can demonstrate and articulate the successes that you've done in those roles and your strengths and your skills, then absolutely, you know, we can apply those to roles such as business analysts, such as project managing, such as, you know, commercial vendor management, you know, and all these roles. Again, it goes back to people not knowing what roles exist as well. But I do see more of that. And it goes to the question, I think there's a big myth around, well, where do you start? You know, they don't feel like they're educated enough to know even where to start. And I think that's something we need to sort of debunk, is that there are so many, as you said, Colin, there's self-learn resources online.
Yeah.
There are recruiters, you know, who, you know, want people to engage, share their story, share their experience, and they can help with CV building at no cost. You know, I don't know if you see any of that as well.
Yeah, definitely, Jared. And there's opportunities there. Again, going back to that people aspect, like the use of kind of social media as well, to be able to, if you are looking and you want to find something more out about a job where you may not have a connection or a network, that also provides you to kind of have that soft introduction, if you like, to a company, just to, like you said, Jared, to ask those really basic questions of somebody, just to find that starting point. And I, like you said, I usually find the starting point starts with the person, because asking for a 5-10 minute conversation just to ask a couple of questions it gives you a starting point with some basic information from where to go. And whether and I suppose that's what has worked well for me in the past, is just having a quick conversation, and then that usually opens the door, like we said, about going into self-learning resources or something like that. But I found that to be really useful from my short experience anyway.
We've got a question from Carrie, who's asking Colin, she's also got a BA degree in history, and she was asking about how easily you found it to apply those skills in an IT role.
That's a really good question. I found them surprisingly transferable, I think is the word. I think when I was reaching the end of my BA history degree, I was slightly worried, because going, okay, where am I going? And then I applied for the job, and actually going into that interview process, having those kind of soft introductions with a couple of companies that I was interested in applying for, and actually all of a sudden those analytical skills that you get, those ability to kind of pull a load of different opinions together and kind of find that line of argument or that line of debate thought that you wanna go with was really useful going in. And I think the basic one for me that I got from history was just asking questions and being curious about different people's opinions because I found when you go into IT or any place in the work, everyone's got loads of different opinions on a single subject, and actually being able to pull that ability to critique, I suppose, within yourself, those different opinions, so you can form your own balanced judgment on a topic was really, really useful, kind of stepping into that initial world of work in IT.
Yeah, and I can completely understand, Carrie, how on the face of it, you're looking at your CV and your degree and you're not making that alignment. And I think in Colin's example, you know, the organisation NFU Mutual made it clear that, you know, the IT degree is essential, and then there's interaction started, and it's the organisation has a part to play in this as well, frankly. And I think if you reach out to an organisation and they say, well, you haven't got an applicable IT, well, frankly, that's not the route then that is for you, because they're thinking in a very narrow mindset. And when you look at the stats, you know, there's less uptake of those degrees anyway to fill, you know, positions that are lying vacant at the moment. So that match, you know, for Colin and many others is there based on the part that organisations need to play here as well. So, you know, Carrie, I think if you pick up with Colin after, I'm sure you can kind of help with that.
Absolutely, yeah, more than happy to.
I think the other point you were making there, Jag, about the reality of the career market at the moment, you know, actually, it's hard to fill technology roles right now. There's a skills shortage. We do not have enough people for all the roles that we've all got. And there's lots of growth, isn't there, in IT and technology type roles at the moment. And I think that means that employers are thinking more widely. So I think it's a really good time, actually, to be making a shift, because I can't see that the need for people in technology is going to go away. I can see there's only going to be more and more things that are going to be there. And I think that because of what the market looks like right now, I think actually employers will be much more open to people who don't necessarily tick all the boxes they might think they want at the start. So yeah, really good opportunity right now. There's so many jobs in IT out there at the moment, so many.
There's so many jobs, but again, I'm thinking about, you know, an audience that can't quite map how their skills or their personality can align to some of these roles. And so my advice there is you know, rather than getting bombarded with all the roles out there, you know, find a recruiter that you can trust. Find a recruiter that if you ask for CV building advice, they give you that advice, and you're onto a good thing with that recruiter. And then take it further, and then just say, so based on my skills, based on my experience, based on you getting to know me, where are the opportunities? What organisation? Where can I start with them? And once you've got, exactly as Emma said and Colin said, you know, you've got the strengths, you've got the passion, you've got the learner mindset, that's enough. That's enough to secure you the role. And fantastic, you've got a role, you're in an organisation, and that's when your learning can start. And there's courses available not only with the organisation, but as Colin said, there's lots of material that you can find externally as well to get you going. So you might not see that match to a role, so go and find a recruiter that you can have that conversation with.
The other way I think that people can get started is to find out who's in their own network. You know, who do you know? Who's in your family and friends that works in a role in technology? With them. You know, I've done that with various members of family and friends, where, you know, somebody's son has wanted to talk about what the opportunities might be in a role in technology or whatever. And I think you find that generally most people are really willing to give a bit of time if it's somebody they've got a connection to. So don't be afraid to sort of just ask around within your own circle of family and friends, or people you do work with. You know, do you know anybody who works in X, Y, Z? Because actually the people who are in it will give you a real view of what's going on, the kinds of roles that they're looking for, and what, particularly also what entry-level roles there are, because all organisations have entry-level roles of different types. There's lots of opportunities, and sometimes it's just knowing what to even find out a bit more about and what the route is in then, if you know there's a particular stepping stone you might be able to get to. So yeah, so really do use your network, and that applies also as you establish a career as well, in that wider network, not just then outside of work, but also the people you work with. Jag was talking about getting involved in things more widely, like working groups and other things in organisations. Then don't be afraid then to talk to people on the sidelines of those about, you know, if there's somebody you sort of come across that you think, oh, they're really interesting, I wonder how they've got into the role they're in. People are normally really happy to talk about themselves and their careers. It's been my experience, and normally really willing to give you those hints and tips. So use it. You know, it's a great way to find out what the opportunities are.
And I suppose the other myth for people who watch this back, it's never too late to start. It is never too late to think of a change of direction, think about an area that of interest to you, and you want to take that more in a professional capacity. So you might be doing website building, outside of work, and you're passionate about it, but the job currently doesn't satisfy or link to that. It's never too late to start. Talking about a lifespan here, so 22, 32, 42, it doesn't matter. You bring more to roles in IT than I think you can estimate at the moment. So, and it's about having that conversation, as Emma said, to make you realise that potential. So, we're just going to fire up a slide, just so for those who just want a bit of a recap on what we've been discussing. So hopefully you can all see that.
Yeah, that's come up.
So myth busting today, and so we've covered whether a rigid structure really exists, and the answer to that is no. You can start, as Emma said, many entry points into IT, and you have the ability to move around and find what sparks your curiosity, whether that is .NET developing, whether that is app design, whether it is cyber security. There's a wealth of opportunity in there. And then, as Colin said, beyond. So it can take you into roles such as Colin is now in marketing or finance, or the bread and butter of what that organisation does. Degree based, so a big myth, but no, doesn't stack up in this day and age. You can apply for roles with any varied degree, and also a degree really isn't the be all and end all. So we've recently come out of apprenticeship week as well, so there's a lot of BCS content available on the website and on social media at the moment around apprenticeship schemes. So do take a look at that for more information as well, and some career stories and career journeys on the back of people being taking on as apprenticeships. Technical skills. So we've talked about, in some cases, absolutely, you can specialise, but there are many roles now, especially with technical services being more providers to an organisation and technology being much more out of the box. Actually, those collaboration skills and influencing skills and the ability just to learn more, bring people together, collaborate, and communication skills are really important for a large proportion of the roles in IT. And isn't IT just help desk? So I think we've sort of covered that as well. And help desk and service desk, it's a really exciting place to work. I did it too. I started off at second line help desk. And again, you make a huge difference. You're very customer facing. Every day is very different. So absolutely, there's roles in service desk and help desk that I'd encourage you to look into. But there are many other roles, and my previous talks go into more detail on those as well. And like I said, we're all contactable, so we can always dive into other roles as well. And then lastly, last couple of points are, where is the support? So absolutely, reach out to, as Emma said, friends and family. It's a great one, Emma, thank you. But also recruiters, BCS as well. Just drop us an email or get in touch with a branch. We've got branches across the UK. Find out your local branch and get in touch. Or perhaps look for a mentor as well. But I think friends and family can sometimes be the best mentors for you as well. And early career teams. So a lot of early career teams in education are there to also help and assist. And you might be within education at the moment and not thought to at least try what early career services are available to you. And then just a reference to technology and diversity as well. So for me, it's not as binary as women in IT anymore. This advice goes to everybody and anybody. So male, female, all colours of the rainbow, any ethnicity, and background. Technology is now, first and foremost representing society. So we want apps, we want technology that relates to us. So we want people from a varied backgrounds and life stories to reflect that. So society is a colourful patchwork, and so should IT be as well. So, and we are there yet, as Emma said. The biggest myth is that it is mostly men, and it's not in the places that I've worked. So it's already diverse, and so you'll just be another contribution to that. So really the purpose of today's talk is don't let anything in terms of backgrounds or anything like that play a part in you not securing a fab job and a job with an organisation with security and the benefits that come with that job. Is there anything either of you wanted to add?
No, I
Final
don't
comments?
think so, and I think we've covered the questions that we've had.
Great.
But yeah, if anybody does think of something afterwards and they want to follow up, then please do so. We've all started off on this journey at some point and figured out these things. I always say to people, I don't have all the answers, and I can't tell you what the absolute perfect approach is, but I can tell you the things that have worked for me and what I've learned and the different things I've done over the years.
I think what you said there, Jag, in terms of your network and pulling on your network, I mean, from today's call, you've added 3 more people to your network potentially. So, and if it is an area that or somewhere IT is something you want to do or are interested in learning more about, then yeah, absolutely pull on that network.
Yeah, and that's not just today's live talk. Anyone that's watching back this recording, we're all committed to being contactable. So that's the full series of talks. This is the 7th, and my last one is in March, which will conclude my series, my curriculum. And the last one is on purpose. So purpose is actually becoming a really big topic now for CEOs and CIOs as well. So my talk really is, what's been my purpose journey and what tools and advice I can give you to help define what your purpose is and how that can carry you into your career as well. And these are all available on the YouTube channel. And also these are our contact channels as well. So any query, any question, you can always drop a note to groups@bcs.uk. And there's all the other social media links as well. And I am a volunteer. I am a volunteer on the Birmingham Branch committee, and those are our co-chairs as well. So a bit of a nod to volunteering out there as well for people. But thank you for those who have joined, and I hope you take something away from today's talk. Thanks to my guest speakers as well, Emma and Colin.
Lovely to talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Cheers, Jag.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.